Razaban for FightHype.com with me, trainer Dominic Ingle. How are we?
Good.
Dom, we're firstly here for Kid Galahad's up-and-coming fight.
Yeah.
Kid's had a very tough couple of years with ongoing issues, which are now out of the way now, and looking to the future.
Yeah, he's got a ban, did his ban, got his ban reduced, and he's back fighting. He's had 3 fights since. He's never been out of the gym, in all that time, and he's in great shape. This is his 4th fight in less than 12 months. He's on a big show. It's on the Eubanks undercard, ITV. It's a great platform for exposure, and I'm looking for him to be in a great fight against Agbiko.
Agbiko has been in with some great fighters, and do you think this is Kid's toughest challenge?
He hasn't had so many fights in the last few years, like Agbiko, and I know why, because he's a tough kid. You look at his record, the only people who beat him is world champions. And he's been avoided. You never see the people like Scott Quigg calling this guy out, or the up-and-coming super bantamweight featherweights, because he's the type of kid who's going to give you a nightmare. But realistically, Galahad now is coming up for 27. He's 26 and a half, coming up for 27. This fight is a tough fight. It'll be the making of Kid Galahad. Nobody's ever stopped this guy. I don't think he's a guy who can be stopped. He's tough. He's like Joshua Clotter, one of those type of guys who are solid. They've got a good chin, they can fight, and they're a real test. And that's why nobody wants to fight him. So it'd be a good night. And if Galahad can do a job on him, he's making a statement.
Galahad becomes successful in this fight on Saturday night. Where do you want to see Galahad in the next couple of...
Listen, we're still chasing down the likes of Frampton and Scott Quigg. Scott Quigg, he's moved up to featherweight. I wasn't impressed with his last fight. The kid was, hanging his chin out all night to get hit, and eventually, after getting hit about 10 or 15 times in the same spot, Quigg actually knocked him out. But he's not pulling any trees up for me, and let's just see where he's moving. But the fight we still want Scott Quigg. It'd be a great fight.
A couple of weeks ago, last weekend, was a great fight on Sky Sports. Carl Frampton and Santa Cruz, potentially a fight that could come in the way of Kid Galahad in the near future. What did you make of the fight, and was that the right result?
Yeah, I think it was the right result. The first time Santa Cruz went to have a fight with Frampton, which suited him. Frampton's the shorter guy, he's got shorter reach, and they sort of toe-to-toe for most of the fight. But in the second fight, Santa Cruz adjusted, he kept the distance well, he kept him on the end of the jab, kept it long where he had to keep it long, and a lot of times Frampton couldn't close the gap down to get his shots off. And it was a close fight, maybe not as close as the scorecards had it, but it's a 1-1 apiece, and there's always a call for another fight, to finish it off. It was they were both good fights, both exciting, but I think a third fight to decide it, you couldn't argue with that.
So do you think from a fighter's perspective, sometimes when you can make the fight easy by using your jab and fighting on the back foot and looking for those counters, like Santa Cruz did on the weekend, and then in the previous fight where Santa Cruz was on the front foot and brought him, because that's what the fans want to see. So as a fighter, is it difficult to adjust to that, and because it becomes sometimes boring for you?
It is, but I don't think the second fight was a boring fight.
No, it certainly wasn't.
No, so I think as long as you've got that type of fight, I mean, the argument could be made for like a Mayweather type fight where Mayweather totally controls them on the end of a jab, they get nowhere near him, and people say Mayweather's fights are boring. But for me, it's as a boxing fan, I love to see technical boxing more than I do like to see a brawl every now and again, but I do actually like to watch Mayweather. Some people don't. So sometimes as a fighter you can't just get away through all the way through a fight on the end of a jab. Sometimes you can, but 9 times out of 10 you can't. So you've got to have a bit of a fight in pockets, in and out, and then get back to your jab again. So it was even the second fight was an exciting fight. So it'd be interesting to see how the third fight goes.
So I'm going to ask you a question. You are also the trainer of IBF welterweight champion Kell Brook. I was in New York for the Battle Jack James event. I caught up with Kell then and his father Terry. Since then, it looks like talks have broken down. But are you gutted that fight isn't happening?
Listen, I can remember years ago when Kell was with Frank Warren, and they were talking about making that fight then, and that was like 10 years ago. And the fact of the matter is, or the truth of the matter is, that Amir Khan doesn't want to fight Kell Brook. He's put up so many hurdles, closed so many gates, made it so difficult. If you want to fight, you want to fight. He's wanting the lion's share of the money. Maybe he's cashing himself out, who knows. But, it's a fight that they both need to do, because just like the Anthony Joshua Klitschko fight, Klitschko's not going to be around forever. And if that fight wasn't made in March with Klitschko and Joshua, maybe it were never going to get made. But it's a big fight, it's a big money fight, and it's the same with, Khan and Kell. It's probably never going to happen, because I just don't think Khan wants to get disgraced in front of the British fans, because he will do. You know,
I think that's what it is. Or
yeah, no, it's
the middle ground for
it's all about his
negotiation.
reputation. He's got no chance, none whatsoever, of beating Kell Brook. You understand? And he's more or less wanting Kell Brook to pay the price for beating him. He's always saying, well, if you're going to beat me, you're going to knock me out, I want a lot of money for that. That's what he's doing. Because if he was confident about winning the fight, he'd take the offer. What Kell Brook said is, we'll do 70-30 split to the winner. If you're that confident you're going to beat me, well, the winner can have 70-30, and if you're going to be the winner like you say you're going to be, you're going to get the 70%. So if he's 100% confident he's going to beat Kell Brook, and that's the way he talks, every interview he always goes back to when he schooled Kell as a schoolboy on training camp, which is a load of rubbish. You know, if he was confident he was going to beat Kell Brook, he'd take that fight. But it's all right getting beaten by guys abroad and Americans and Danny Garcias and these type of guys and Canelo. They're all big names, they're all the big American names. But to come back to England and get your ass kicked, as they say, by Kell Brook, he'd never live it down. He'd never be able to hold his head up.
But realistically, was that fight even possible for this year? Because Amir Khan was speaking to FightHype a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying that he always wanted that warm-up fight because of the injury. So if he was going to have a warm-up fight in April, realistically, we need a massive stadium for.
Why does he need a warm-up fight? He's an established champion. He's had so much experience, had so many fights. Kell Brook nearly had his leg chopped off. He didn't have a warm-up fight. He boxed his mandatory. When he boxed Golovkin, I think he boxed Kevin Bezier. So when you're at that level, you don't need. Why do you need warm-up fights? Kell Brook.
Because of his hand.
Yeah, but Kell Brook's had a piece missing out of his face where his eye went. He's not going to have a warm-up fight for his next fight. He's not going to have a warm-up fight. See how it goes. Once you're at that level, you're at that level. It's like you don't need why do you need a warm-up fight? You know, if he says his hand's good, it's the same thing. You don't need to go through 10 or 12. You can spar to do that. You understand? So that's just an excuse. You don't need one at that level. The level that they're at, Kell Brook and Amir Khan, you do not need warm-up fights. You don't need to test anything out. You understand? You go back into a fight. So, like I said, Kell Brook, he's got ambition. Look, how many people, are going to step up? Nobody wants to fight Golovkin until Kell Brook. And when people say that's ridiculous, he can't move up from welterweight to fight that kid. And he finished on his feet. It was an injury or stopped it, like getting a bad cut. So, people will have their opinions. Boxing's all about winning. Yeah, he got beat, but he got beat 2 weight divisions above his weight.
Absolutely.
Khan got beat 1 weight division above his weight. Yeah. And he got flattened, and he was out on his back. It never happened to Kell Brook. So Khan can talk what he wants. He can say, well, I was beating, him for so many rounds and then I got knocked out. Yeah, the fact is, if you hit Amir Khan on the chin with a good shot, you will knock him out. That's it. That's the problem he's had all the way through his career and all the way through his amateur career. It happened in the amateurs. He climbed off the floor several times in fights. He's always had that weak chin.
Dom, thank you so much for
No problem.
a little bit of your time. We'll catch up with you tomorrow, obviously after the weigh-in, and then obviously fight night on Saturday.
Yeah.
All the best to Kid.
Thank you.
And we'll catch up soon.
Lovely.
Dominic Ingle for FightHype.com. Thank you very much.